Merhaba, I'm Dr. Şevval Karadağ, and you're listening to Fearless Leaders in HealthTech. We are here to go beyond the fear barrier and explore the future of healthcare together, because the only way to be truly fearless is to lead with a heart full of love and passion. We'll explore these perspectives through my eyes as a physician and entrepreneur, and through the stories of trailblazing founders, investors, and innovators. Unfiltered, unafraid, and unstoppable. Let's dive in. Welcome, everyone. This is episode 1 in Fearless Leaders in Health Tech podcast. And today I'm sitting down with someone who genuinely doesn't fit in any single box. And that's why she's exactly here. Dr. Polen Koçak is a molecular geneticist and a Harvard trained scientist, a serial biotech founder, and a mother. She holds the first international patent filed from Turkey for a plant-derived nanovesicle. She is the CEO and co-founder of Cellestetix Biotechnology and the co-founder of SickScience Labs, the biotech skincare brand that is now, as of this year, on Ulta Beauty shelves across the United States. So let that success sink in for a second. A Turkish woman scientist took her Harvard bench research, built 2 companies around it, and raised serious capital, and put her science onto American retail shelves. That doesn't happen by accident or any luck. Dear Polen, welcome to Fearless Leaders in Health Tech. And I have to say this out loud because it really matters. Thank you for saying yes to being the very first guest on this show. That is something very symbolic about episode 1, being a woman who turned lab science into global brand without ever losing this science. And a quick note before we start, Dr. Polen and I were actually introduced by a mutual friend and a mentor, Professor Melih Bulut. So this entire episode exists because of him. So Melih Hocam, thank you very much. You planted this seed. And welcome.
Woo! Thank you. Thank you for these kind words. I'm appreciated. Thank you.
Before we go anywhere else, can you introduce yourself? But the concept of this podcast is unafraid, unfiltered, and unstoppable. So please share the real story, not the LinkedIn version of it.
Yes, sure. Yeah, you already mentioned everything about my background, but yes, I am Dr. Polan. Thanks for having me today. I'm also so excited to be a part of this podcast as a start, as a first guest. So good luck. By background, I graduated from genetics and bioengineering from Yeditepe University in Turkey. And after undergrad, I sent thousands of emails to be a part of Harvard community, and I sent probably 3,000 emails to the different PIs, and three of them accepted me as an intern. That's how my journey started, let's say. And I attended Harvard Medical School as an intern after undergrad and worked there for a couple of months. They asked me to stay more. And I started working there. Then I went back to Turkey and started my master's and PhD on biotechnology. I was working again at İstCapital University with a great team, with Professor Fikrettin Şahin. And he is also entrepreneur and a scientist, so he has a huge role on my career. During my PhD, I was very passionate. I am still very passionate about this entrepreneurship. And me and Merve, co-founder of Cellestetix, we met at the first day of college at the chemistry class. Since day one, we were like best friends, like working together in projects at Yeditepe. Even when I was Harvard, we coordinated some collaborated projects. And then during our PhD, we have a little sad story, but because of Merve's mom had cancer, mesothelioma, which was a real, like, rare type of cancer. And we have been working on exosomes starting from cancer research. And because she lost her mom, and during that period, we were on the period we were trying exosomes formulations on different types of cancer. At that day, we decided to continue as an entrepreneur and take this technology out of the lab So it was kind of mission of ours. We want to take this technology out of the lab and translate into people's everyday life. And like you said, we published the first article in the world about plant exosomes, and we applied a couple of patents worldwide. We invited like reputable worldwide congresses, and one of them, it was 3 years ago, it was a dermatology congress. We attended and shared about our exosomes on fat burning obesity data, and we met one of the first investors of the company. He was the CEO of Estee Lauder Middle East, and he told us, guys, this is the next big thing, but let's create something in cosmetics. That's how our journey began, from cancer to skincare, actually.
Oh, the details. You share some details with us, and I get more and more excited. So this is very great story that you have your first friend at college and become like lifelong partner.
Yeah.
So I want to ask some more questions and ask you to deepen this story. Sorry to hear Merve's story about her mom. I believe she's in peace now. My first question is, why did you choose exosome? Of all the things a molecular geneticist could fall in love with, you guys fall in love with exosomes.
Yeah.
When did it click for you?
So, like I said, Merve was working on, like, we were working together, and she was focusing on the cancer side when I was focusing on regenerative medicine study. But we had the same challenge. So, she was trying to target cancer cells without harming healthy cells. I am still, but I was trying to target the inner layers of the skin to increase the wound healing capability. But there are like raw materials, actives, some technologies which are not effective enough, not targeted enough for both our projects. And then we started working with stem cells. I worked in a stem cell lab, GMP lab in Turkey, which is, I think, one of the first GMP manufacturing, stem cell manufacturing labs in Turkey, at Live Hospital with Erdal Hoca. And when we were working with stem cells, I started looking like effective approaches like stem cells, but cell free. That's how our journey began, because exosomes, they're like, they found back to 80s as a garbage bag of cells. But now all researchers, all in like skincare world even, they started checking exosomes and their therapeutic approaches. Not only they're like, let me give a brief intro. They are like little text messengers. They can go and change the behavior of the cell. And they can also use as a drug delivery vehicle. So we started working with them as a drug delivery vehicle for cancer research. Then we started analyzing what's the message in it, so how they can cure some diseases. And we started working with human-derived exosomes, animal-derived. We make hybrid exosomes when I was in Harvard with liposomes to make it more effective. But at the end, we started working with different types of plant exosomes, which are very effective and not have just one message like human-derived exosomes. They have only regenerative message, but what with plant exosomes, you can have fat-burning message or like different kind of messages. And we developed the plant exosome library because we have been working on with exosomes, let's say, for over a decade. And we work with thousands of different plants to understand. Once we started deep dive the effectiveness of these exosomes, we are like, yes, we should definitely create more and more with this technology.
You're amazed by it. Yeah, it sounds very exciting to, insert several messages into one exosome to the cells. Very intriguing.
Yeah.
And my next question is, you mentioned that you had a research at Harvard, Brigham Women's Hospital, right? And what did Harvard change in you, both scientifically and as a person?
So yeah, I went to Harvard a couple of times during my career. I started as an intern and I continued as a research assistant. Then I worked during my PhD. So what changed? It's really competitive environment. There are like very successful scientists. I love to understand how they look to the experiments or to the projects. So they have like, they all still have different kind of vision, but at the end they're all scientists who works very hard. So what changed? I'm still very successful and like hardworking a student. Even now, I'm taking some courses from Harvard Medical School online sometimes. But the first shift when I was in Harvard, I saw how dedicated they worked in one project. That's why I'm working on exosomes for different areas. I can work. I usually said to my students, because I'm still giving lectures in university. I am a assistant professor at İstCapital University, and I'm giving bioentrepreneurship course. And this is the common question I take: what should we do? Should we focus on one, or should we work with different projects? What I saw when I was hired, I saw people, they have been working on same molecule for 20 years. So this is the first shift, because I was the one who wanted to work in fat burning, cancer, regenerative medicine, because I know it's not a one trick pony, but at the end you need to focus. That's what I learned as a start when I was an intern.
Great lesson to take. And when you come back to Turkey, you filed the first international patent and the publication from a plant-derived nanovesicle. That's a really big deal. Did it feel big at the time, or you understand when the time passes? Because sometimes when we make big decisions, we're just so focused on to get it done, and we may not realize. But I want to hear your side.
Yeah, it was after my internship ended at Harvard, so not the PhD period. So yes, it was very early stage, and we did a great job at Yeditepe University altogether, and it's approved worldwide in United States, in China, in many different countries. It is approved, not only applied. Yeah, it was a big thing. Still, it's a big thing. And now we usually apply a patent if we have a different technology, different point of view. But this one was the first, and my first baby. Yeah.
Now I want to take you to a little bit more about the entrepreneurship journey. At some point, you went from I'm a scientist to I'm a founder. And how did switch happen? You mentioned at the beginning that your co-founder's mother passed away and you decided to take this to everyday product. But can you give us a little bit more, because the personality might be different to the audience, or to me, what we think when we see a scientist or entrepreneur is might be different.
Totally different. Yeah.
How was
It's totally different. But I think the most important thing for us, I am pretty sure Merve thinks the same. We are not the ones who develop something in the lab and put the technology to the refrigerator forever. We want to, yes, as a scientist, we have a passion to develop new techniques, new molecules, or products now, but not like developing the technology and apply to the patent, or write a manuscript and send it to the best journal in the world. We want people to understand our technology and use it, and we want to expand with that. So that's why we wanted to be an entrepreneur. Now I feel this is like biggest study that we have. We have thousands of customers now globally which are using our technology. That's the biggest feeling I have, because it's both good as a scientist, because you created something and you know it works at the molecular level. Now thousands of people, they are buying your products from the biggest retailers in the world, and using and sending you an email and saying, this is the first product that works for me. It makes me very happy. So yes, how did shift happens? First, we want to be accessible. We want to be a global brand with this technology. We want to take this technology out of the lab. That's the first mission. That's why we want to be an entrepreneur. We could be an entrepreneur in cancer research or regenerative medicine, yes. But we knew that it takes time. And because of the first investors of the company, we want to show how we develop a product from this technology. I think we did successfully.
You really touch like dozens of people's lives. And it is something you created in the lab. It must be a very good feeling. My next question is about your fundraising journey. This is also a challenging journey for entrepreneurs. And
Yeah.
how was this journey for you? Were your investors all from Turkey or you had from US or Middle East? And what did it actually take to close the round when you closed? And maybe to inspire some entrepreneurs might listen, how many no's came before the yes?
Yeah, many, many no's before the yes. Because biotech companies, not like having a fund from VCs for the biotech is not very easy at the end. In Turkey, it's not easy at all. So before the first round that we had many, many no's. We signed the contract, then canceled last minute. Because we are two co-founders who doesn't look scientist at all. And we developed a therapeutic strategy for cancer, and everybody like, you sure you did? So we need to convince people. Even we had the data, we need to convince investors before the round. But then we met Pragma Capital Partners, who is still the leading investment team of ours, and we showed our data about obesity, about regenerative medicine, wound healing, and they told us, okay, doctors, it sounds really cool, but we need to see the third party data because we shared our own laboratory results, right? And they creates a board, advisor board from the big companies. And they want us to conduct a clinical research at the third party labs, which are very reputable labs. So we started with the technology that we have, three of the technology. And they said, we want to only try just one, for example, wound healing technology to see the anti-aging effect of your products. And we said, no, let's do for fat burning, for hair growth, for anti-aging, because we are pretty sure. And they said, okay, we're going to pay the clinical study. If if we have results like you said, we will invest. So that's the priority before the investment. And after the clinical study, it takes like 6 months. In Europe, in US, we conducted clinical studies for like 50 volunteers at least for each study. And after the clinical studies results showed up, they said, okay, we are investing. So that's how our journey started as an investment. So they invested $1 million as a start, which helps us to build our lab, build our R&D team in Turkey, as well as starting SickScience development, which takes almost 2 years to launch the products in US market. Then we raised another almost 4 million from VCs in Turkey. For example, Arya Women Fund, Arya Ventures. We have investors from Maxis, İş Bankası, from APY Alberca, APY Ventures, and İstCapital, and some of the angel investors that we had. And I'm very happy. They helped us a lot because as a scientist, yes, we understood how to build a product, but for finance part, for the other parts, they helped a lot. And we are gonna raise money in US very soon for the expansion of SickScience globally.
Thank you very much for sharing this journey. What were the expectation from the scientist image? Then you said we don't look like scientists to them. Was it because you are, I'm guessing, maybe I might be biased, but two young, beautiful women
Yes,
who go up and
totally.
present?
Very young to do this kind of stuff in a short period of time. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Young and woman, yeah, it's hard
Yeah.
everywhere.
So, but you did it. You made really good success, and SickScience just launched on the Ulta Beauty shelves in US. And this is a very like rare and inspiring success from a Turkish-founded biotech company. And what was the hardest part of getting there? Was it the product, the investment process, or the regulatory process, or the distribution? What was the hardest part?
Both of those have different hard parts, let's say, but product development, regulatory, we work with a great people who helped very, very much on that. So I think the retail side could be the harder because you need to choose the right partner with you. Because yes, you're right, we are the first Turkish founders who are in Ulta, which makes me very proud. And I think the hardest part is finding the right partner, building the right team, because we are in Turkey and we were in Turkey when we launched the brand. So we had a team who operated in New York for the business. So finding the right team, working with the right retail partner, and understanding those things is the hardest still.
Mm. And what is the one piece of advice you would give a founder who's tried to translate deep science into a commercial product?
Education is the key for us because talking scientifically is not understandable in some way. You need to make it very, very simple, understandable, maybe using some anecdotes like I did for exosomes. They are like text messengers kind of concept. So making it more like storytelling is the key for a scientific brand.
Yeah. Not only the investors, also customers don't really understand how it works. And they necessarily don't have to, but they need to understand the effect at least. So you said the anecdotes or analogies is very helpful.
Yeah.
Part.
Yeah, very helpful.
Okay. Dr. Poland, the mindset of this podcast is we see fear not as an enemy, but as a signal to what we should overcome. We see the fear as a messenger. Let's say what we should do next. So, can you tell me about a specific fear before the leap moment, where you were terrified or you were not sure, but you did it anyway? What made you move?
We waited to establish the company. We waited until we finished our PhD. Now I can, because I didn't feel confident enough to launch a business in US or in Turkey, whatever, with the technology that we worked before I had the PhD degree. Now I feel like if this is the first advice I can give to the entrepreneurs, don't wait. If I go back, the first thing, I established the company earlier. So it's because of the Turkish mindset. You need to have master's, PhD. Are you like a doctor or you have a PhD? How you communicate like this? So many questions coming from them, even from my mom, from my dad. No, please finish your PhD first to move forward. I did it after my PhD because of the talkings coming outside. And the most, I think, the fear was like not feeling sufficient enough to move forward. But nothing changed after PhD. I was still the same.
Nothing changed. Yeah, I think this is a great lesson. And for me, when I launched my first startup when I was a student, medical student, on third grade, it was more about decision-making methodology. And when I shared it with the customers or the professors at the Koç University, I'm graduated from Koç University School of Medicine, they were like, "You cannot possibly find this methodology. Someone told you." Because you're a student, you're a medical student, you didn't find this probably. So I can relate to what you're saying when you were doing the PhD. Thank you for
It's
sharing.
unfortunately mindset here, but it was not like this when I was in Harvard. I saw many interns and I was like shocked because I was the one who came earliest because I'm not Turkish. I need to work hard. And like I saw other interns coming late and very happy. And I was like shocked. No, we all interns. We need to be there 7 a.m. in the morning even before the PI came, right? Uh, yeah, that's another lesson I took from Harvard. Because from even like US investors, that's the same thing. When we showed our data, our results, they were like, "Oh my God, this is great. And you're a mother as well. And you did this alone." Those kind of motivations works very well. But in Turkey, now it's better. But when I launched the brand or like launched the company, everybody was, "You sure? You sure you can do?" Or I'm not sure, you're too young. Kind of questions coming. I don't know why.
So this is a little specific to Turkey. Maybe in other countries it's better than here.
More motivational, I think. Yeah.
I'm checking my next question. We actually talk about it a little bit, but if it's okay with you, I want to deepen that. How has being a woman shaped this journey? In the lab, in the boardroom, in the pitch meetings? Has it been a weight or a lens or maybe a catalyst or all three at different situations?
All three at different situations. Now, catalyst for sure, because we launched a beauty brand, skincare brand, and we have a team 90% women. We love motivating women scientists, women in STEM, who like mothers as an entrepreneur. But yes, at the beginning we saw some obstacles because we are women. Even we need to talk about the pregnancy period. When I was pregnant, for example, I didn't tell that I was pregnant to anybody because I didn't want to lose any credibility before the launch. So it's hard to be a woman entrepreneur. But if you understand how to make it more catalyst, it's growing because you have the support from women at the end.
I have two additional questions regarding that. One of them is I had serial of nightmares where I see myself I'm launching something as an entrepreneur and it's very exciting. It's going very well. I'm in the big buildings. And then they told me suddenly that I cannot continue. And I told them why. I mean, everything is going well. And they told me that we have this news that you're pregnant in my dreams, in my nightmares. Like, no, no, no, there must be a mistake. No, no, no, it's not true. So you actually lived through that. But
Yeah.
what happened when you share with the investors or your team? How was the
They
reaction?
learned when I gave birth.
Oh, you hide it for like 9 months.
Yeah, not
Oh
not
my God.
everyone, but most of them they learned. And I got back to work when my baby was like 3 weeks old. I went to work back because we launched a brand on we launched SickScience on February 24, and my daughter was born March 24, just 1 month later. So I needed to go back, and Merve was pregnant that day. So I had a newborn baby and she was pregnant, and we needed to conduct research for the products as well as we need to operate the business. And I'm very proud of myself because when my baby was like 30 days old, I needed to travel to US every month for a week with my like breasts, milk devices. Imagine I was like traveling, crying, but now I feel very powerful because SickScience is also my baby, right? So, but we did it, both of us.
Wow.
And I heard from one of the investors, I heard after Parla, my daughter, now she just turned to 2. And I heard a couple of months ago, we didn't even understand that you were pregnant. I am not sure if we understood that you were pregnant. Did we invest or no? I am not sure. They said directly. So it's, yeah, I can understand because you could be a woman who doesn't want to work after pregnancy. It's okay. But if you want to work, being a pregnant or being a mom is not a problem. You can do.
You can do it both. So they just thought that you were gaining a little bit weight.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, totally. And I didn't gain too much weight.
Yeah,
That's
so
why.
they didn't understand that's why. I think it's a very brave thing to do, by the way. And I'm want to congratulate you for achieving all of this all together. And this was actually my next question. How do you manage being all of them together? So you're saying sometimes you cry, sometimes you work too hard, and then you come back as a mother. So somehow it all works. Is it true? Or you have some sort of like rules, or how do you regulate? Do you have any like mechanisms to cope?
There's no rules, I think, after becoming a mom, but I went with the flow. Yeah, totally. It was very hard. Like I was crying all the way when I'm going to United States, but at the end, it's for me, for my baby, um, seeing a happy, successful mom. I think should be good. So that was my motivation.
I couldn't agree more. I believe when she grow up and she sees your success and all of these things, she will be very proud.
Yeah, I hope.
Um, let's zoom out a little bit and talk about the future of healthcare and future of the technology you work with. Thank you for sharing the intimate parts of your journey with us. It was very valuable. My question is, in molecular genetics, nanomedicine, exosomes, these fields are moving really fast. So in the next 5 to 10 years, what do you think changes for real? Or are there any hypes that you see? Because sometimes there's like movements and it goes away. So what do you think will be the real change in the next 5 years in biotechnology? And what is a hype, if you see one?
Um, there are many, but the first thing I think I can say about the hype, I think, and coming, it's already came. It's this longevity
That was my
stuff.
next question. Yeah,
Yeah,
longevity.
I'm a huge fan of this longevity concept and also this personalized medicine concept. The first thing I could say is longevity with the help of personalized medicine. What does that mean? So, if you know what's in your genes, you can like have the right supplements, right products, or right therapies if you have any disease to have the longevity, like healthy lifespan, let's say longevity. And the second, I think, future trend, using AI in everyday's life. Um, for example, now every brand they claim like AI driven formulas, but it's just a basic algorithm. But true AI in this space, I think, is coming with the deep integration with molecular data and actual like clinical outcomes to develop something not surface level, but more deeper level. These two.
I have like follow-up questions and everything you said. So on longevity part, which side you think it's a hype? Which part you think it's maybe more scientific or could affect our life? What is the hype you see?
The part that I like is using peptides. Now, there are many peptides FDA approved using peptide injection. I think it works very well for the longevity. But some supplements, like gummy supplements for longevity, sounds a little hype for me.
Okay. And another one is using AI in deep integration could change and affect our lives. I want to branch this to into different questions. One of them is, I believe you heard, AlphaFold won the Nobel Prize in chemistry. They used AI in predicting protein folding. So is this what I think meant when you said deep integration? And how is AI changing your practice in the lab or in Cellestetix or SickScience Lab?
That's a great question. AlphaFold winning the Nobel Prize, it's an important shift in biology because now everybody understand we need to do something in deep. For us in Cellestetix, also in SickScience, AI helps us. We use AI as a Google map, let's say. Instead of working with different trial and error experiments in wet lab, which is very, very expensive, AI provides us highly accurate starting point because we have been working with thousands of different plants and we need to understand what's the message in it, how does the protein interact, how can we block it, or how can we use it as a catalyst. So we have many questions when we analyze exosomes messages to develop different products. We use AI. We developed a plant exosome library. For example, every week we had a marketing meeting with with my marketing team, and they said, for example, we should develop something for lip plumping or GLP-1 faces. It's trendy because marketing people they checking, searching all the competitors, and we go back and check our plant exosome library, and with the help of AI, we can select some of these plants and try in the wet lab before we launch a product. So it's fastened us very much. and increase our start, like highly accurate starting point it provides us. It's like a force multiplier, let's say.
Yeah, very good use, I believe.
We still need to validate it in the wet lab, but there are, instead of trying thousands of different plants
plants on the lab and will take so much
Yes.
time and resources. Yeah, it helps you to make a good start.
Yeah.
And I'm coming to my last question. Thank you very much for all the things that you shared in here. Um, it's a genuine question from myself and for the listeners, of course. Where can we find your products? Are they available in Turkey? Can we order online? I want to personally buy I think I saw your neck ad, like
Yeah, it's the hero one. Viral. Yeah, shape shift.
Yeah, shape shift. How can we buy it?
Yes. We are only available in US right now, online in our website and Amazon, and also Ulta Beauty, Ulta Online and Ulta Stores, but only in US for now. But yeah, we have a plan to launch SickScience in Turkey very soon. I hope maybe early next year in Turkey as well. But for now, unfortunately, just in US.
Okay, then we have to tell our friends in US to bring us.
Yeah, go to
the-
Ulta Beauty.
Yeah, but SickScience product and bring it to me, to yourself and to me.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Genuinely, thank you. Being the first guest of this podcast, you could have said no. Being someone's first guest is also a leap of faith. You don't know very much about the show. So to everyone listening, if a single thing Dr. Polen said moved something in you, made you pause, made you consider, made you reconsider a leap you've been putting off, share this episode with one person who needs to hear it. And that's how we will build this community. One person, one conversation at a time. And you can find Dr. Polen Koçak on LinkedIn and Instagram. I will share the links on the description. So until our next episode, stay unfiltered, unafraid, and unstoppable.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite. It's just the beginning of this. Doctors coming to everywhere, and I'm honored to be part of it. Thank you.
honored
Thanks
to
for
have you.
tuning in.